Shabbat Shalom, family.
Shabbat Shalom.
And welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh, our Elohim, has enjoined us on to. As we know, Shabbat Shalom means peace on the Sabbath. And Yahweh, being the gracious master that he is, has allowed us, his servants, to be able to partake in his day of rest. My brother, go ahead and read the oracles for me, please.
1 Peter chapter 4, verse 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, and chapter 5 to verse 1 through 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yeshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becoming saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and thou art upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verse 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verse 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. In the modern day Christian setup, we were taught to look forward to going to heaven as our final destination. But as you or we have come into the truth and accept what is written as it is written, then we realize that that was never Yah's plan for man. Let's begin in Genesis chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 1 through 8. And the name of today's class is The Great Looking Forward To. Because, of course, we all were taught to look forward to going to heaven. And we all, by now, or sitting in this room, should know that that's not going to happen. That is not what we should be looking forward to. So we're going to go through some scriptures today so we can get our minds and our hearts in the right place of what we should expect at the end of this journey You know, I've got my own saying of Bible. Everybody's got their own makeup of the letters. My thing is basic instructions before life everlasting, because we're going to have everlasting life one way or another, whether it's in the lake of fire or in the kingdom. There's going to be everlasting life. So this book that we go through is our instructions, what to do, how to do it, what not to do, and the consequences for doing things the wrong way. And I mean, even the extreme Muslims are taught that, hey, you do certain acts and you're going to go off to heaven and be with 7 virgins. So there's a lot of misunderstanding and misteachings when it comes to what is going to happen at the end of this journey as we know it. But even Adam was not supposed to die. Adam was created to live forever, but he was put in a garden. The tree that was removed from Adam was the tree of life. Least you eat from it and they live forever. So there was already an ultimate plan that we were to live forever. Go ahead, my brother.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1 through 8. Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee.
Now, if we look at the makeup of this, get you out of your country. So he's already got a place that's established that him and his family are familiar to. It says, get you out of your country. And then it says, get you away from your kindred and from your father's house. So there was things already set up for Abram. So now Yahweh's intervening to show him, no, I've got something else going on. Go ahead.
And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curses thee, and in you shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
Here's a change being made at the age of 75. I don't think there's anyone in this room that's at the age of 75. But at age 75, you're used to what you're used to. And here's this change being made at age 75 when you have become complacent. You're used to what you used to. He already knows that once his father passes on, this all is going to be mine. But now you're telling me to be uprooted from what I know I'm going to inherit and move along because you're going to give me something better? Man, there's people in this room that's 20 years old and can't fathom a change in their life from day to day, much less a complete change of relocation away from your inheritance, what you think you're going to have. Go ahead.
And Abram took Sarai, his wife, and Lot, his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said unto thee, unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him.
Now, in the beginning it was said, get out of your country and I'm going to send you to another country. Even with what Yahweh is telling him, he didn't tell him, I'm going to give you this land. He said, unto your seed. So the expectation is that eventually your seed is going to control this area, which is currently established by another nation. So that's what he's got to look forward to, is that one day this place that I am now in as a stranger is going to belong to my seed. Go ahead.
And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west, and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto Yahweh, and called upon the name of Yahweh.
Okay, let's go to Acts chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 6 through 9. Acts chapter 1, verses 6 through 9. So right there, there's a precedent set with Abram. His name has not been changed to Abraham as yet, but a precedent has been set with Abram that this area that you're passing through currently is going to belong to your seed. That's what you have to look forward to. That's what your seed has to look forward to. Acts chapter 1, and we're going to start at verse 6.
Verse 6.
So this is in Genesis, where this is being given to Abraham. And we're going to go to Acts, where we're talking about generations after generations where changes have happened. And let's see what they're talking about.
When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Adonai, wilt thou this time restore again the kingdom to Israel?
So at this point, they're talking to the Mashiach. But what's on their mind? They're looking for this same kingdom, this same area that was told Abram in Genesis that would belong to them. They're now wondering, when are we going to get back into that area? When is it going to be given back to us? So even they have something they're looking forward to, getting back to their land. Right now, they're strangers in somebody else's land. They're under servitude to someone else. But what's keeping them going? That one day, we will be back in our own place. Not one day we're going to go off to heaven. One day we'll be back into our own land. So they ask the Mashiach, you're here now. You here to take care of the business? Go ahead.
And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons, which the Father hath put in his own power.
He didn't say no. But had he given them a date or a time, you know how we get. Had he said, hey man, it's not right now, but give it 2 years. We're all sitting in this room. A lot of us are waiting for this to be over with. Had he given, if we could look in this book and pinpoint a day of when this was supposed to be over, we would be back in the land, the closer it got, we wouldn't do anything. The closer we came to that date, the boss would be wondering if we're coming into work or not. And sad to say is that we have children who are in this word, and because they know what's in this word, it's hard to get a lot of them to have any type of ambition to really go out and do anything. Because some of them have the mindset of why. This is all going to crumble. But we still have to keep keeping on until that day. You can't just give up ahead of time. And that's even for us as adults. And to be honest with you, part of this class is I'll give thanks to my brother Zakor who said to me in a conversation last week, man, I was hoping to see a whole lot more things happen this year than what has happened. This brother's sick and tired. But I told him, hey, there's a lot of things that we might not see that's going on in the background. So there's a lot of us looking forward for this to be over. But do we have the right expectations? Go ahead.
Verse 8. But ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me, both in Jerusalem and in all Judea, and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost part of the earth. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight.
Okay, let's go to Daniel, and we're going to start at chapter 11. The book of Daniel, chapter 11. Now, even they could have had a different thought process when they saw that he was taken up. They could have started to desire that, hey, man, he went up. Maybe we too will go up to the skies. But they never had that thought process. The mind never changed because he was taken up. But that is what's been fed to us, that we're going to go off into heaven. And there's still some of us that come into the truth, but still hold on to a lot of the Christian beliefs. And it's hard to purge those ways out of some people. So, it's best if we go and read as it is written. Daniel chapter 11, let's start at verse 1.
Also, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now will I show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the 4th shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia.
And if you don't understand what's going on, this is what's being told to Daniel, what's going to happen in the future. This is future prophecy. This is not what's taking place during Daniel's time. Go ahead.
And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided toward the 4 winds of the heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. And in the end of years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand, nor his harm, but she shall be given up, and they that brought her, and that he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. But out of the branch of her root shall one stand up in his estate, which shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail.
And as we're reading this, these are countries making alliances with each other. So the strength of America came from another country. And America is always referred to as a she or a her, Miss Liberty. Go ahead.
And shall also carry captives into Egypt, their gods, with their princes, and with their precious vessels of silver and of gold. And he shall continue more years than the king of the north. So the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return into his own land. But his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come, and overflow, and pass through. Then shall he return, and be stirred up, even to his fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved with choler, and shall come forth and fight with him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand. And when he hath taken away the multitude, his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many 10,000s, but he shall not be strengthened by it. For the king of the north shall return, and shall set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches.
Now, if we read this whole situation here, you can see that there was one country that was set up and they were strong at one point and they fell. And eventually they rise and they became stronger. And if we're paying attention to the things that's going on, they like to talk about the Cold War. Russia was a superpower at one point. Russia fell. Russia's on the rise again. So if we can just look at that scripture alone, we can see things happening that's being told to Daniel. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Daniel chapter 11, verse 15. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither his chosen people, neither shall there be any strength to withstand. But he that cometh against him shall do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him. He shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be consumed. He shall also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and upright ones with him. Thus shall he do, and he shall give him the daughter of woman, corrupting her, but she shall not stand on his side, neither before him. After this shall he turn his face unto the isles, and shall take many, but a prince for his own behalf shall cause the reproach offered by him to cease. Without his own reproach he shall cause it to turn upon him. Then he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, but he shall stumble and fall, and not be found. Then shall stand up in his estate a raiser of taxes in the glory of the kingdom. But within few days he shall be destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably, and obtain the kingdom by his flatteries. And with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully, for he shall come up, and shall become strong with a small people. He shall enter peaceably, even upon the fattest places of the province. He shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey, and spoil, and riches. Yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time. And he shall stir up his power and his courage against the king of the south with a great army. And the king of the south shall be stirred up to battle with a very great and mighty army. But he shall not stand, for they shall forecast devices against him.
Now, if we're paying attention, all of this is not taken back to back. There's breaks, spaces, years in between all of this stuff. So one person rise, they diminish. Another person rise, they diminish. So they're constantly getting an opportunity to rebuild themselves. So it's not like this is all happening back to back because we're reading it back to back. This is years of warring going on. And even though when there's not a physical war going on, there's still war going on in the background. Go ahead.
Yea, they that feed of the portion of his meat shall destroy him, and his army shall overflow, and many shall fall down slain. And both these kings' hearts shall be to do mischief, and they shall speak lies at one table, but it shall not prosper, for yet the end shall be at the time appointed. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land.
Now it says that they shall speak lies at one table. That means they're sitting down and there's supposed to be some peace talks going on. And we see the same thing going on right now. Mm-hmm. You know, we hear that Trump and so sat down, and Trump will come and tell you, oh, it was a great conversation in this day, and they decide this. And then you get to another news network and you hear them people say, no, that's not what happened. We're not in any agreement with this man. So as we can see, as these so-called peace talks are happening, we have to listen to the right venues in order to hear what's really going on. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former, or as the latter. For the ships of Shittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved, and return and have indignation against the holy covenant.
You hear, he didn't have indignation against the people that's warring with him. He's got indignation against the holy covenant. Go ahead.
So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant,
So what does that mean? He's got intelligence with them. There's spies amongst the people. And we sit here and we know we've had people come in and out. We've had people sit in here with recorders while our class was going on. We've had people sit in the dining hall with us and they're recording everyone's faces. So don't let it come as any surprise that everyone that comes through the door is not here for the same reason. Do we have time to sit down and worry about that? No, we have a job to do. We're servants. They've got a job to do and we've got a job to do. At the end of the day, I know what I should be looking forward to with my job. I hope they understand the outcome in the end for their job. Because the rewards now might seem great. I'm looking at the greater reward in the end. Go ahead.
Verse 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
So all of this we heard, countries battling between each other, fight between countries. And then at the end of it all, it's what? To pollute the holy sanctuary. Go ahead.
And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their Elohim shall be strong and do exploits.
So do we know our Elohim? It says the people that know their Elohim. Go ahead.
And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days.
So it's not going to be easy. It's a grievous time coming. Some perilous times ahead. But we have to have the right expectations. We have to know what we are going to face. I mean, there's still time that you can make a choice and walk away from all this. It's either suffer now or suffer later. I'd rather suffer now. And believe me, the suffering that we're dealing with, as we have read and we have seen, our forefathers went through a whole lot worse. None of us know what it means to get whipped out in the open. None of us know what it means to be hung by a tree, to have dogs sicked on us. We've heard of these things. We've not gone through it. So with the lack of knowledge that our foreparents might have had, you might realize that some of them already have their book written in their entrance to the kingdom. Go ahead.
Verse 34. Now when they shall fall, they shall be helping with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them, and to purge, and to make them white even to the time of the end.
You know, I want to go back to verse 33, and it says, and they that understand among the people shall instruct many. We all have a job to do. It didn't say that we were going to convert many. But how can we instruct if we don't understand the instructions? We have to understand what is expected of us. We have to understand how to instruct others in righteousness. So as we go through our book, we can't lean upon our own understandings, lest you instruct someone in the wrong way. And that's what has happened to us throughout our years. We've been getting instructions from the Gentiles' point of view. And nowadays, our people are getting instructions from charlatans who are just interested in fleecing the flock. Go ahead.
Because it is yet for a time appointed. Verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god.
Above every god. Go ahead.
and shall speak marvelous things against the Elohim of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the Elohim of his fathers, nor desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his estate shall he honor the Elohim of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver and with precious stones and pleasant things.
And, it's talking about the king, but, whatever the king is into, more than likely his subjects are going to be into also, because he's going to pass out decrees. And one of the things about it, it says that he's going to give honor to the forces, the God of forces. And I'm hearing this thing with our people, oh man, give honor to the ancestors and the this and the that. And I'm hearing this more and more, and it's like, where is this coming from? Where are our people getting this from? Go ahead.
Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strange God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory. And he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north shall come against him, like a whirlwind, with chariots, and with horsemen, and with many ships. And he shall enter into the countries, and shall overflow and pass over. He shall enter also into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown. But these shall escape out of his hand, even Edom and Moab, and the chief of the children of Ammon. He shall stretch forth his hands also upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and over all the precious things of Egypt. And the Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps.
Does everybody understand who controls the world's gold? We all know who controls the world's gold, right? Who's holding everybody's gold? Okay.
But tidings out of the east and out of the north shall trouble him. Therefore he shall go forth with great fury to destroy, and to utterly to make away many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
Continue. Yeah.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was, since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time your people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Everyone that shall be found written in the book. Go ahead.
And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to the shame and everlasting contempt.
So, what are we striving for? What are we looking forward to? This tells you plain and simple that those people who are sleeping are going to be awake. Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. So I said, there is going to be, like Andre 2000 would say, forever ever? Forever ever?
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be a forever. But which side are you going to be on? Which side are we striving to be on? Go ahead.
Verse 3. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on the side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth for ever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not.
Here's Daniel admitting something that a lot of us can't admit. I heard what he said, but I didn't understand it. How many times do we sit around listening to a class or in class or even read something and don't understand it and are honest with yourself to go to someone and say, hey, I read this or I heard this, but I don't understand? Or do we sit in the class? We've all been in class, man, and the teacher said something because you don't want to be the one that says, excuse me, can you go over that again? Because you don't want to look like the dunce in the class. So you just sit there and don't say anything. But at the end, you still don't get with the teacher at the end of the class and say, can I ask you something one away? When you read about the disciples would do that. The disciples would be in the middle of something with Yahshua and wait till he's done, and when they get someplace private, excuse me, Master, can you expound upon that and explain? You know, he might say something sarcastic to them, but eventually he'll, explain it to them. And I think that's what a lot of us are afraid of. The sarcastic part. You know what, go ahead and make your joke. But I need to get an understanding. How am I going to instruct anyone or bring any into righteousness if I don't understand? So yeah, if it means you get to ridicule me for a minute, that's all fine. But I'm going to sit here until you explain it to me so I can walk away with an understanding. At least someone else come and ask me the same thing and I don't have an answer. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my Adonai, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end.
Now, Daniel is asking what shall be the end of these things, right? And when you go back to verse 6, and one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Well, Daniel said, okay, whatever he said to him, I don't understand. But I want to know what the ending is about. Because the ending is my people being put back in their righteous estate. So whatever you just said to him, I don't understand. And I'd like to get an understanding. Go ahead.
Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,335 days. But go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days.
All right, let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 16, and we're going to read verses 1 through 22. 1 Samuel chapter 16. So at the end of the day, he told Daniel, go your way. Don't worry about this. This is not going to take place in your time. Your future is set. You have nothing to worry about. You're going to stand in your lot. Your righteousness is sealed. But does that stop you from being concerned about your people just because you know you're standing on the right side of righteousness? First Samuel chapter 16, start at verse 1.
And Yahweh said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing and I have rejected him from reigning over Israel?
Now, Saul was the first king given to the children of Israel because they asked for a king. And even with that, an expectation was given to them of what type of king they would have, what manner of man he would be. But they still desired this thing. So Yahweh doesn't lead us blindly into what to expect. I think we ourselves, with our own desire, blind ourselves. And then when the outcome isn't what we think it is, then we feel we've been done wrong. Now go back and look and see if your heart was in the right place to receive what was given to you. Throughout everything that we as a people go through, there's already an expectation that was set forth. But our own desires got us into problems. Go ahead.
Fill thine horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And Yahweh said, Take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to Yahweh. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee.
Now, Saul is still alive. Saul is still king. He's still ruling. But Yahweh is sending him out to go and anoint someone else king, while there's still a sitting and ruling king. Go ahead.
And Samuel did that which Yahweh spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Comest thou peaceably? And he said, Peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto Yahweh. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely Yahweh's anointed is before him. But Yahweh said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For Yahweh seeth not as a man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but Yahweh looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither hath Yahweh chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by, and he said, Neither hath Yahweh chosen this. Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Yahweh hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come here. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and a goodly to look to. And Yahweh said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of Yahweh came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah.
Now, like I mentioned before, Saul is still the king. Saul is still ruling. Samuel just anointed David to be king. Do we understand how long it took before David actually sat on the throne. Imagine this young boy who knows he's been anointed king. This is what he's got to look forward to. But he just can't sit on the throne. But it's given to him. It's his. But he has to patiently wait for the right time. We have knowledge of what is supposed to be ours. But will we get weary on the journey and do things to forsake our inheritance? The kingdom is his inheritance. The throne is his inheritance. But he did not get to sit on it right away. And his life was in constant jeopardy before he got on the throne and after he got on the throne. So can we take that example and understand what we are supposed to be and go through the trials and tribulations knowing what we stand to inherit? Let's jump to 2 Samuel chapter 7.
This one.
Yes, sir.
2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of cedar, but the ark of Elohim dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in thine heart, for Yahweh is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell thy servant David, Thus saith Yahweh, Shalt thou build me an house for me? Shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. And all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me a house of cedar? Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be a ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time.
Now you have to understand, this is being said to David, that I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they will dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Did that happen during David's time? No. Because we were constantly battling other people and moving around. It's the same thing was told to Abram, that I'm going to give them a place of inheritance. This will be their place. This place that you're at is going to be theirs. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also Yahweh telleth thee that he will make thee a house. And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit in any lawlessness, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thine house and thine kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever.
So David is being given something to look forward to. So upon his dying bed, he knows that a covenant was made with him about his family and where they would stand forever. This is something great to look forward to know that, you know what, my family is always going to be in rulership. And as we read on, he'll express his gratitude in that. Go ahead.
According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. Then went King David in and sat before Yahweh, and he said, Who am I, Adonai, and what is my house that thou hast brought me hitherto?
Now, Nathan the prophet went and told him this vision that was given by Yahweh to give to David. David did not turn around and ask these questions to Nathan. He went in prayer to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, O Adonai, but thou hast spoken also of thy servant's house for a great while to come. And is this the manner of man, O Adonai? And what can David say more unto thee? For thou, Adonai, knowest thy servant, for thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart, hast thou done all these great things, to make thy servant know them. Wherefore thou art great, O Adonai, for there is none like thee, neither is there any Elohim besides thee, according to all that we have heard with our ears.
Now all of this is placed upon David because of the thought of his heart, a desire that he had to do something for Yahweh. Now Yahweh has established his lineage forever just because of a desire that he had. Just a simple desire to do something for Yahweh. So we've got to ask ourselves, what do we do for Yahweh? Or what intents do we have that we might want to do something that we know we're not even capable of doing? Just a desire. Our first and foremost desire should be to want to walk in his law, statutes, and judgments. Just that desire can be counted onto you as righteousness. Just a simple desire. Go ahead.
2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 23. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, whom Elohim went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make his name, and to do for you great things, and terrible for your land, before your people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods.
All right, my brother, let's go to Micah chapter 4. But even Dawid turned around and put it back on the nation and said, what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel? And if we stop and we look and we examine ourselves, we can ask the same question. What nation is like unto us as a people? And I'm not talking about just natural Israel. I mean spiritual Israel as well, who are walking in his law, statutes, and commandments. You should have a different desire. You should have a different heart. Your deeds, your walks, your conversation should say something different about you than the average Joe on the street. That's why I don't get into this thing with people wanting you to always have what you call them, Zeets, my brother there? Absalom? But you know, it's an identifier. The brothers want you to have fringes on so they can identify you out of a crowd to address you differently. No, we must treat all people the way we want to be treated. You can't look at a person and decide that I'm going to treat you differently than I treat this person over here. Because I don't have fringes on, that don't mean you should address me differently. And as we know within this congregation, we have members from all walks of life. And we have members of different nations. So if we were to get into this habit of always wearing fringes, then we're getting into this respect of persons. Mm-hmm. He asked the question, what people are like your people Israel? That means we should be different in all that we do. Go ahead.
Micah chapter 4, verse 1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, Come, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, and to the house of Elohim of the Elohim of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the laws shall go forth of Zion, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem.
In the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yah shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow onto it. And many nations, not one nation, many nations. These are things we have to start getting into our psyche. That we're not going to be the only people in the kingdom. We're not going to be the only people going up to the kingdom. So do you now get an evil thought in your head or in your mind because you see someone of another nation coming up to Yah's house? What he doing here? Oh, we gonna go, excuse me, Elder Barak. I saw you over there hanging out with them uncircumcised folks. We've got to get it in our heads. Many nations. But what are they going to Zion for? What are they looking for? To be instructed in a righteous manner. We hold that strength as a people now, but we're leading everybody in unrighteousness. Every single thing we do, the nations follow. Good, bad, or indifferent. They follow everything we do. But the time is coming where they're looking to us for righteousness. And I believe that time has been for a lot of them. They've been looking for us to get it together and lead in a righteous manner. Until we start walking in a righteous manner, we will never, ever be looked upon as a people. Go ahead.
And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke the strong nations afar off. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
How many of us can fathom that? How many of us can appreciate that? When we won't have to worry about what country is fighting with what country, what king is going up against what king. Who's going to have a problem because I'm going over here or I'm going over there? These are things that we have to look forward to. Go ahead, my brother.
You know, even to add to that, what you're saying, you think about the families. How many families is going to be happy that they're not going to lose their daughter or lose their son
To war.
to war? You know, so, you know, there's many people, like you said, that's looking for those kind of changes and hoping for those changes.
I mean, you look at just Korea. They've broken it down to North and South Korea. But there's people, families who got trapped in that split that are on the northern side and some are on the southern side who cannot even associate with each other because of what side of this split they got caught upon. Can you imagine the joy for those people when those borders go away and that foolishness is done away with? Go ahead.
Verse 4. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid. For the mouth of Yahweh of hosts hath spoken it. For all people will walk every one in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of Yahweh our Elohim forever and ever.
So you do what you want to do, but we going to be over here praising Yah. We're not going to concern ourselves about you and what you do. Just leave us alone. We going to be over here praising Yahweh, our Elohim. And as we can see, Yahweh's not stopping it. He's not stopping them. Just leave us be. Go ahead.
In that day, saith Yahweh, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. Verse 7. And I will make her that halted and a remnant, and her that was cast far off a strong nation. And Yahweh shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now, why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee, as a woman in travail. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of that city, and thou shalt dwell in the field. And thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There Yahweh shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against thee, that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsel. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, For I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass. And thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the Adonai of the whole earth.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 10. Isaiah chapter 10. Isaiah chapter 10, we're going to start that at verse 24.
Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 24. Therefore thus saith Yahweh Elohim of hosts, O my people that dwellest in Zion, be not afraid of the Assyrian. He shall smite thee with a rod, and shall lift up his staff against thee, after the manner of Egypt. For yet a very little while, and the indignation shall cease, and mine anger in their destruction. And Yahweh of hosts shall stir up a scourge for him according to the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. And as his rod was upon the sea, so shall he lift up after the manner of Egypt. And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing.
So eventually these sorrows, these pains, these burdens will be lifted. But are we worthy of the anointing? He says it has to happen. But it's for a little while. And then he lets you know it's because of his anger. But we still have something great to look forward to. We just have to be able to endure. We just have to understand that this is what it's going to take to get us to the final end result. Go ahead.
He is come to Aiath. He is passed to Migron. At Michmash he hath laid up to his carriages. They are gone over the passage. They have taken up their lodging at Geba. Ramah is afraid. Gibeah of Saul is fled. Lift up thy voice, O daughter of Galim. Cause it to be heard unto Laish, or poor Anathoth. Madmenah is removed. The inhabitants of Gebim gather themselves to flee. As yet shall he remain at Nob that day. He shall shake his hand against the mount of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Behold, the Adonai, Yahweh of hosts, shall lap the bow with terror, and the high ones of stature shall be hewn down, and the haughty shall be humbled. And he shall cut down the thickets of the forest with iron, and Lebanon shall fall by the mighty one.
Continue.
And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, a branch, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahweh.
So these things didn't take place overnight. Once again, we're reading it back to back, but this doesn't take place overnight. So the children of Israel go through all this stuff. Now we're reading Yahshua coming on the scene. Go ahead.
And shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked, and righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb,
which we know cannot happen right now. Go ahead.
and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them.
Once again, the glorious things we have to look forward to. But are we able, are we capable of enduring and doing what is necessary to be able to get to this point? Go ahead.
You know, my brother, there's so much things that's out there that we get caught up into.
Yes, sir.
Because, you know, we know where it says, you know, be you in the world, but not of the world. And, you know, there's, like you said before about, you know, our folks out there, you know, the children of Israel, Jake, they're so caught up into a lot of the entertainment, and we're seeing so much of them that prosper
Right.
from it, but then not understanding that there is something much more greater that we should be seeking for.
And it's not even just our people that's out there. I'm also concerned about our people that's in here.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it was Brother Zakor that brought it to my attention that, you know, he was expecting more things to happen. So then the reality comes of how much of us are getting weary because things are not seeming to happen fast enough. So the bottom line is, let's not get weary. Let's keep our eyes on the prize and understand that there's greatness awaiting us. But we have to understand what trials and tribulations are going to lead up to this great reward. We have to keep that in the forefront. So yeah, every now and again, we've got to go back and look at what was promised to us. What is out there for us so that we don't get weary on this road to our salvation.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
We have to endure to the end.
Yes, sir.
Verse 7. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the suckling child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den.
Now, at the point that, I mean, it's going to take me some time to actually get used to the fact that a lion's eating straw.
Yeah.
Even when I see that, you know,
Yeah.
a couple of you brothers might have to go over there before and put your lives at jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? Before I get used to the idea that the lion only eats straw now at this point.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a glorious time to be able to know that my child is out there playing with a lion. And I don't have to worry about taking half his body out the lion's mouth. You know, right now, the lion in our neighborhoods are pit bulls. But a lion will devour a pit bull. So if the lion is eating straw, then definitely I'm not concerned with a pit bull. I'm hoping that my lion go raw and the pit bull. You know, but we've got to understand that there's something wonderful waiting once the kingdom is set up. But while we're waiting, we have to learn how we must conduct ourselves. And while we're waiting, there's expectations. We can't wait till this is set up to decide that we're going to walk the right way and deal with righteousness. It takes steps. Just like we've been reading, it took steps. It's taking steps to even get to the kingdom. It's taking steps to even get to Yeshua's second coming. So while those things are taking its course, we need to be taking our steps to prepare ourselves to be the righteous servants of Yahweh. It said we are to become a kingdom of priests. Do we wait till we get into the kingdom to start understanding what the priesthood is about? Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 9. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people.
The remnant.
The remnant of his people.
He's going to set forth his hand for the remnant. Are we striving to be a part of the remnant? It states 2/3 of Israel is going to get cut off and die. Not 2/3 of the world. Because even before they got to that statement, they said what? The Gentiles are going to come seeking his righteousness. But 2/3 of Israel are going to get cut off. Not 2/3 of the nations. So if we look at this room, that little quadrant right there, people in that little space over there, would be 2/3. Are we fighting for our position to be a part of the remnant? Are we preparing ourselves with our deeds and our conversations to show ourselves worthy to be of the remnant? Or are we just happy knowing that I'm Israel? But 2/3 of Israel is going to get cut off. So I'm Israel still don't mean nothing in the long scheme and the long run of things. But Israel's got something wonderful to look forward to. Yes, we got to get him. Go ahead, my brother.
Verse 11. Let me read verse 11 again. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Kish, from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Amath, and from the islands of the sea.
Now, it says, he shall set again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left. That means those that's left after this whole purging goes on. Mm-hmm. But now let's see where these people are. He didn't say from America. It didn't say those that are left in America. So he's breaking it down and letting you know that we're scattered to the four corners of the earth. So if you are sitting there believing that you got this tribe in this country and that tribe in that, he's collecting all of Israel from these different places, not from this place, but those that are left, those who are worthy to make it into the kingdom. Like I stated earlier, we've been given this dream that we're going to go to die and go to heaven. That's not written in this book. That's what was sold to us. Man was created to be on earth. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth.
Now what would make us outcasts of Israel? I hear disobedience. But he's gathering the outcasts of Israel. You can also become an outcast because you've decided not to follow what everybody else is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to the rest of our people right now, we are the outcasts. Because majority of Israel will be congregating tomorrow to praise Jesus. So to them, we're an outcast. Go ahead.
Verse 13. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
No more separated house. Coming together for a common cause. Coming together to get back what is rightfully ours. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
Good.
And in that day thou shalt say, O Yahweh, I will praise thee. Though thou wast angry with me, thine anger is turned away, and thou comfortest me.
And he comforted me in that day. But what did we realize there? You were angry with me. And we read that earlier. All these things have come upon us. Why? Because Yahweh was angry with our forefathers. So when we stop blaming the nations for what has happened to us, then we can start getting our mind in the right place and getting our hearts in the right place and accepting the fact that we played a part in angering Yahweh. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. We like to blame everyone but ourselves for our downfall and what has become of us as a people. You know, the biggest thing we like to say, it's the man, it's the system, it's the this. But then you ask yourself, what efforts and what things have you done? All right, can we turn the phones off, please? Isaiah chapter 60, and we're going to start at verse 9.
Verse 9. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh thy Elohim, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee.
Now, surely the isles shall wait for me. It's talking about islands waiting. What are the islands waiting for? And it says, the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first. When you get into the scripture, you also get an understanding that it says that all the islands are going to go back under the sea. So does Yahweh allow those things to stay up just long enough for us to be removed from those places? So, I mean, honestly, I've got many family members still on the islands. And there has been, over the last several years, times that some of those islands should be gone. I know during Hurricane Ivan, the Cayman Islands was completely flooded. The eye of the hurricane went completely over the island. There should be nothing or no one there. So I know the mercy that Yahweh has been showing my family members who might not understand what's going on. We heard recently what happened down in the Bahamas. But they as a people can't see it. All they're blaming is the Haitian people on the island. No, Yahweh is showing you some mercy. Not just them. It's everyone that is being affected. But it says the isles will wait for us to be removed before going back under the sea where they came from. For anyone who does not understand, those things were built through volcanic forces. Is how these islands popped up. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought.
And we've been through this before. If you don't understand what the forces of the Gentiles is, it's their riches, their gold and their silver, that reparations that we want here in this country that is not going to do us any good. So the gates aren't shut. So there's a continuous supply coming in and out so we can sustain ourselves. We have labored in this country and in other countries because we all kind of want to remember the transatlantic slave trade, but there was also the Arab slave trade. And the Arabs are some of the richest people on the face of the earth. And I'm not talking about figures on a piece of paper like most billionaires in this country. I mean assets, tangible assets, something that they can touch. When you talk about a Bill Gates, it's numbers. That if they wipe the computer out, he's a nothing and nobody. So the gates are open. There's a constant supply to take care of our needs. Isn't that going to be a glorious time? Mm-hmm. To know that your needs are taken care of? And not worrying about how much sick time I have left or how much vacation time I have left. Let me put in for these holy days. Let me do it before anybody else takes the time. Go ahead.
For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yes, those nations shall be utterly wasted.
Now verse 12, for the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee, serve you, shall perish. Didn't say the nations that shall not serve Yahweh. The nations that will not come up and do right by us shall perish. Go ahead.
The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the ox and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary. And I will make the place of my feet glorious. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves, down at the soles of thy feet.
That is not happening right now. We see videos with brothers doing that on the corner, but you know, we all have our suspicions that there's some backing going on with those brothers. But man, if you're sitting here waiting for that to happen in this country, You are fooling yourself. Those people are still living rich off of the gains of our people. Come and bow to you? Yeah, wait on it. Go ahead.
And they shall call thee the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations.
So you won't be called nigga anymore. You won't be called the Zion, the Holy One of Israel. So we're going to go from niggas to the holy ones. I'll wait on it. I will continue to do what I'm doing so I can go from being called a nigga to being called a holy one. Right now, I'm still considered an outcast. As a matter of fact, most of us are considered to be cult members. You in a cult. Okay? So I'll keep doing what I'm doing in my cult to hopefully one day be called a holy one. All right, go ahead.
Verse 16. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings. And thou shalt know that I, Yahweh, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood, brass, and for stones, iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise.
So if the so-called Jews are back in the land, why is there still violence in the land? If they've been restored, why is there still violence in the land? That does not go with as it is written. Maybe the scriptures are wrong, and they're right. But this contradicts what I'm physically seeing compared to what is going to happen when the true children of Israel are restored into the land. Go ahead.
The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. But Yahweh shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy Elohim thy glory.
Does it still get dark over there? I mean, I haven't been there. I'm just asking. Still, yeah, it does? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thy sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For Yahweh shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. Your people also shall be all righteous, that they shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time.
All right, let's go to Revelation chapter 21. It says, and a young one shall become 1,000. I don't think I remember seeing that in any news lately either, anybody dying of 1,000 years. So I guess this hasn't come to pass yet. We're still waiting on this. Like I said, we have glorious things to look forward to, but we have to understand what it is that was set forth for us to be looking forward to. Revelation chapter 21, and we're going to start at verse 18.
And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth an emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth a topaz, the 10th a chrysoprasus, the 11th a jacinth, the 12th an amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Adonai Yah Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it, for the glory of Elohim did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof.
And once again, here we go. And right back to my question. Does it still get darker? So obviously some things have not taken place yet. There's still some things yet to come. Let's go ahead and go to Numbers chapter 14. Numbers chapter 14, and we're going to read verses 6 through 9.
And Yahshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, The land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If Yahweh delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it us, a land which floweth with milk and honey.
So we're going right back to look at what was promised to us as a people. Our own land. This is what we have to look forward to. Our own land. But are we going to cause the rebels amongst us to discourage us against our own land? Talk us out of the inheritance that belongs to us. We could see here, 12 went out to spy out the land. 12. Out of 12, how many are standing up to say it's a good land? The remnant, if you want to look at it that way. It's the remnant of the spies that are saying this is a good land. Let's go in and take our inheritance. Or are we going to allow the naysayers to talk us out of our salvation, to talk us out of our inheritance? This is what we have to look forward to. We're back in the Old Testament. We see it in the New Testament. Man was created to live on earth. The children of Israel have an inheritance. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Only rebel not ye against Yahweh, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and Yahweh is with us. Fear them not.
And that is the only way that we can make it is Yahweh being with us. Rebel not. We already know what's going to happen to the rebels. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 34. It says the rebels will be purged out in the wilderness. Here is Caleb and Yahshua, the son of Nun, pleading with all of Israel not to rebel against Yahweh so that they could receive what was promised unto them. I'm sitting here today so we can go over and understand what we have to look forward to. Rebel not. Go ahead. Deuteronomy chapter 34 and verse 1.
And Moshe went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountains of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And Yahweh showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Yehudah, unto the uttermost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, unto Zohor. And Yahweh said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Esaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over there.
All right, let's go to Revelations chapter 1. So Moshe did everything was commanded of him, led the children of Israel out of captivity to the promised land. He was allowed to see it, but not allowed to go in. But he did this knowing there was something great to look forward to, which for him, he thought it was being able to get into the land. But Yahweh had something else in place for him. But he allowed him to see it. Can we see it? Can we understand what is actually there? What we have to be under your own vine and fig tree? Brother Jeremiah, how does it feel to have fruit trees in your yard? So for you who don't understand the beauty of being able to walk outside and pick fresh fruits off of your own tree. I know you're fighting with them deers. Okay. But you got to understand, there's a beauty in having your own. We will never, ever, ever own anything in this country. Even when it's bought and paid for, it is not yours. Yahweh had set forth that once you're back in the land, it's inheritance to the family. It never leaves the family. We can go and look at maps. There should have been some maps up there that breaks out the inheritance of each tribe. Those lines have not gone anywhere. Those boundaries are still there. Once we're set back into our own land, those things are going to go right back the way they're supposed to be. So if you kind of look at some maps now and of those ancient maps and get an understanding, once you get there and it's revealed to you of what tribe you're from, you might have an edge up on the other people of knowing where you need to go. But it is there. The boundaries and the lines have not changed. It has not changed so much that the so-called Jewish, the Israelis, know these boundaries. And that's why they're fighting with the neighboring countries, because they're trying to push their way back in to our inheritance. The lines have not changed. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Verse 1.
Where we're at, Revelations.
Chapter 1. Revelations chapter
Yep.
1.
Yeah, verse 1, 3 through 7.
Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy, and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. Johanan, to the 7 churches which are in Asia, grace be unto you, and peace from him which is, and which was, and which is to come, and from the 7 spirits which are before his throne, and from Yeshua the Mashiach, who is the faithful witness, and the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us, and washed us from our sins in his own blood, and hath made us kings and priests unto Elohim and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Behold, he cometh with the clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen.
So it says that all kindreds of the earth shall wail him, not just Israel. Let's go to Revelations chapter 5. But he has made us kings and priests unto Elohim. Kings and priests. Let's see, we're going to start at verse 1 in chapter 5. Revelations chapter 5 and verse 1.
And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book, and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven, nor in earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Yehudah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book, and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof. For thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to Elohim by your blood, out of every kindred, and tongue, and people, and nation, and hast made us unto our Elohim kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
Let's go to Isaiah chapter 35. It says, For you were slain and has redeemed us to Elohim by your blood out of every kindred and tongue, which is a language, and people and nation, and has made us unto our Elohim kings and priests once again. And we shall reign where? On earth. Not that heavenly doctrine that has been fed to us by Christianity. Man was created to live on earth. We shall reign on earth is what he said. Isaiah chapter 35. Let's start that at verse 1, please.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you.
Yahshua will come and save you. But what are we doing to prepare ourselves to be saved? We can't believe in the old doctrine of just believe and you'll be saved. There has to be some action. There has to be some deeds. Like we were told, the nations are going to come onto us seeking righteousness. What are we doing to prepare ourselves for when the nations come on to you, asking you questions, seeking guidance down the path of righteousness? We have to do works to bring others onto righteousness. We have to do works just to keep ourselves on the path of righteousness. But while doing those works in the time of weariness, understand what we have to look forward to. Understand what is waiting for us. You don't go to work not expecting to get paid. If anybody has done internship, that was probably the worst time of your life. Because I'm sure they put all the work on you knowing they're getting free labor. It might seem like an internship right now, but there's something great at the end of the road. And what we don't see is the mercy shown to us right now. Those are the payments that we don't see and we don't acknowledge. The protection, the grace, the mercy given to us day in and day out. We're still getting a payment. But I know everybody wants the big cash out, the big payout. But we still have to be able to endure and stay on the path for the big payout. At least we get weary. Go ahead.
You know, you mentioned something about, work, and we have work to do. And a lot of times we see other Israelite camps out there who they know who they are as a people, but yet still they don't have the understanding that, there's greater things that's expected of us, especially the works that we have to do. And when you read Romans chapter 9, verse 4, when it speaks about the adoption and the giving of the laws and the works of Elohim that we have, it's not just for us that we have it. We also have to give it for people to understand. So we have to, put ourselves and make sure that we read and understand the stuff that we are given, that we can prepare other people out there, because it's a great thing that's coming, that my brother is saying. And, how much better for us to look for those things that are coming, that Yahweh is going to give us, than what man is putting before our own eyes that's going to perish.
Even with that, my brother, how many people have actually known that they have received something and they were not worthy of it? Let's make sure we're worthy of receiving. Because some people like to sit back and receive, but don't want to give. But then if all you want to do is receive, then you're already on the wrong end, because it says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat people how you want to be treated. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert.
Even just that, getting to that point, before even getting into the kingdom, is a glorious moment. Anybody in this room that doesn't have aches and pains, you're doing better than us all. Because I would like to make it in the wilderness and get something, you know what I'm saying? Where I don't have to put my glasses on to see the clock back there. You know, get out there and have a competition with the deer. Let's see which one of us can jump the highest. But we still have to get it to that point. We still have to endure just to that point, which we can sit here and look at. That's a glorious moment. But wait for it. There's still more to come. Go ahead.
And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And a highway shall be there, a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
Now, it says, and the ransom of Yahweh shall return. Do we know what a ransom is? Usually a payment made for something, right? Mm-hmm. You know, kidnap somebody, you got to pay a ransom. We've been kidnapped for a long time. But Yahweh is the one that's going to pay that price for us to be redeemed. Once again, are we worthy of the price that's going to be paid? Are we making ourselves worthy for such a ransom to be paid for us? The journey is long. It's going to be hard. But we have to prepare ourselves, understanding and knowing what lies at the end of the road. Like I stated before, BIBLE, basic instructions before life everlasting. It's going to be everlasting in the kingdom or in the lake of fire. What will your choice be? That's all we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Also, before we go off, I'd like for everyone to keep Priest Esaac and his family in your prayers as they're going through this time of loss. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.